Hello and welcome to yet another Q&A video. You guys have blown me away with a ridiculous number of questions, so let's get into it, shall we? And the first one I've got here is, what are your theories on Submit to the Spin? Not so much theories now, because they have actually started construction. We know it is indeed a Huss top spin. I'm a bit curious about that because there's a lot of people questioning the fact that they keep returning to nostalgia and bringing back old rides. I never got on Ripsaw, so I'm kind of glad in a way. I mean, I've been on a top spin. If they theme this to the level of Talican out of Fantasia, we are in for something special. If it is just a top spin, then, I mean, it's maybe going to take some capacity, but there's also rumours that Blade is departing, so yeah, we'll see how that one goes, shall we? With Flambards going under, do you worry other parks may soon face the same fate? Yes, I do. Absolutely. It's always a concern, and it's never good to see any park close its doors. Flambards isn't one I ever went to, and I definitely wasn't the target demographic for the park. But yeah, it's worrying when you see parks close, especially literally they just announced, as of today, we're gone. Like, there was no, we're closing at the end of the season, there was no anything, it was just bang, we're gone. So it's a bit of a worry. I know people are concerned about other parks, Blackpool's one of them. And then, you know, Maryland's not in a good place right now. And then there's the whole, you know, Universal potentially coming along. So yeah, I do worry, but I do keep my fingers crossed that we're not going to lose any more parks. How do you think the UK scene would look if American Adventure didn't close? Well, it kind of ties to that last one, right? I do think it would be better if we had more competition and a better variety of parks. I never got to American Adventure, so I don't know specifically what that park was like. But yeah, as I say, I think more is always better, so it would be nice to still have it around. I know this is random, but do you support a football team? No, I don't. My family support Heart of Midlothian, Edinburgh team. I know absolutely nothing about football. It's a bunch of guys kicking a leather bag around a fit pitch and into a net. So I know nothing about football. Do you think Alton Towers will build Project Horizon? Yes and no. I kind of see both sides of this one. In fact, Haley Chris, obviously you guys know, Sean regularly talks about this one. He seems to believe it's been scaled back, that it will still happen, and that we're going to get a watered down version of it. I'd like to think that we are getting something. We obviously don't know what was initially going in there, so if we do see something, we won't know if it's watered down or if it was always going to be what we receive. I think we do need something new in Towers. Much though I'm happy to see this top spin come, it is kind of like a bringing back an old ride, as I said at the start. So yeah, I'd like to see something new, and I do hope it does happen. It's clearly not going to happen on the original timescale, and it's been pushed back. But let's hope that the other problems with Maryland don't mean it is completely cancelled. Due to living in Scotland, what one theme park in England would you move closer? That's easy. That would be Thorpe Park, because Blackpool's 3 hours away. Not exactly close, but it's easily doable in a day. Towers isn't too bad for me, 4.5, 5 hours. But the parks down there, I did do a day trip to Thorpe Park with my daughter. We did a challenge against Ben and Holly. Flew down and we left at something like 4 in the morning, and we got back at 1 o'clock the next morning. So it's a pain for me to get to, and if I could pick it up and dump it in Scotland, I'd be a happy man. Favourite roller coaster of all time? That would have to be Guardians of the Galaxy. That thing is spectacular. The theming, the whole experience, just the music, everything about it is beautiful, except for the way that Disney operate it. The whole virtual queue system, or having to pay, is ridiculous. Like, just make it a standby line so I can just go and lap that thing a few times and I'll be a happy man. So fingers crossed they scrap that and go to a normal queue at some point. Travel plans for 2025, quite a lot actually. So I am doing a 2-week trip to America with the Your Experience Guide trip. So I think there's 12, 13 parks or something. I can't remember exactly which ones. I want to say Scott said there was somewhere, something ridiculous like 50, 60, maybe even 70 credits. It's crazy. Was hoping to get on Kingda Ka, because we are going to Great Adventure. Evidently that is not going to happen. So 2 weeks in America, that is planned. I've been desperate to get out of Germany this year, and it's not happened, so that hopefully will happen next year, and we'll get to Europa Park, Phantasialand, etc. My missus and I want to do just a natural holiday, so we're thinking on sort of travelling around north of Scotland, and then it'll all depend on how much annual leave I've got left, or whether I'm just squeezing the odd weekend trip here and there. I'm actually thinking on doing a day trip to Disneyland Paris in a couple of weeks' time with the kids. It's a bit of a stupid idea because it'll cost me about 1,500 quid for a day, but you never know. So yeah, lots of plans for 2025. I'll obviously do the UK parks. I'm sure I'll do some Halloween stuff, even though I wasn't going to this year. Kind of had a bit of a laugh with that. So yeah, lots to come up next year. A few similar ones here. We've got, what would you like to see at a possible Universal park? What themed areas do you think we will get at Universal Great Britain? And how do you think the new Universal Resort is going to impact the UK? First of all, from an impact point of view, hopefully positive in terms of, I do hope it gives us that competition I was talking about earlier. I'd like to see Merlin get some competition because I think they don't have any right now. I am kind of worried and not worried about the little guys because I think this will be a very different proposition. You know, your Blackpools, your Towers, your kind of Chessingtons and Thorpes are about 30 quid a day, 40 quid a day. There's no chance that Universal is going to be at that sort of price. You're talking 100 quid, probably a multi-day ticket, I wouldn't be surprised. So very different kind of price points, and I think that should kind of keep things, you know, not put too much pressure on the little guys, but still give them that impetus to be a bit more kind of competitive. In terms of what I think we'll see, I know some people want completely different IPs and some want to see the existing IPs. I suspect we will get, they seem to put Harry Potter and Jurassic Park everywhere, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see those. I don't expect to see the same attractions though. Obviously there's a lot of Brits that travel out to Florida and they're not going to want to steal that and cannibalize it by putting a park in the UK. So I'd love to see Hagrid's in a Velocicoaster. It's just not going to happen. So probably going to see the main franchises, but very different attractions I would have thought, because I think although there will be outdoor coasters, I suspect a chunk of it will be indoors because they want to make it a 365 park, and well, we don't have great weather over here, so they're probably going to have to plan for that. If you could bring back, redesign a coaster, which one would it be and what would you do to it? There's quite a few coasters I would bring back just because I didn't go on them, not necessarily because I missed them. The Ultimate, never got on the Ultimate. I'd bring it back just so I could try it. In terms of what I would do to it, make sure it doesn't roll back and need a tractor or pull it into the station maybe? I don't know. If you ever had a roller coaster that you designed, what would you name it and what would you theme it on? Jesus. Okay, so one of the things coming up later on is I still play Pokemon when I get time. So I'd probably theme it on that. I know there was talk of the Simpsons ride at Universal maybe getting rethemed to Pokemon, but I don't think there is anything yet, and I have no clue what I would call it. Pikachu the coaster. I have no idea. That's terrible. Terrible, terrible. Right, a few similar ones here. If you owned Alton Towers and you could build over the tree line, what would you build or change? Do you think Towers will ever have the tree height restriction, like no longer have the tree height restriction? And if they didn't have that restriction, what would you do to Galactica and Oblivion? I don't think that restriction's ever going to go away. I think the council and the locals have made it very clear that they don't want to see the park, that they want it to be kind of like hidden, which I feel sorry for the park in one way, but I think it's kind of been a unique thing that's benefited them because the creativity they've had to do for things like Oblivion and Nemesis is fantastic. You know, we would never have got a Nemesis if they could just build up the way, because they would have just done that. And yes, Oblivion is pretty boring and it's a one-trick pony, but that drop into that tunnel is spectacular. It's still one of the best dives, even though the rest of it doesn't really exist. So I think it's been kind of good to them. In terms of what I would do to Galactica and Oblivion, I mean, Galactica, I'd probably put a nice big chunky loop in it, a bit like Manta, because that's crazy. And Oblivion, I don't know. The things I would do to Oblivion wouldn't be impacted by the height restriction. I think it just needs more of a layout, you know, like some sort of loops or helix or something after. It doesn't necessarily need to go higher, it just needs to do something after the tunnel. So yeah, that's that. Do theme park content creators get on with each other? Would you stop and have a conversation if you see each other in a park, or do you see them as competition? I can only speak for myself. I definitely do see them as friends and get on with many of them. I'm potentially a little intimidated by some of the bigger channels. Like, I mean, I've chatted to Digital Dan and Theme Park Worldwide very, very like small amounts. Like I've seen them at content things. But plenty of other channels I chat to. I've got a really good friendship with Joe from Theme Park Insanity. Bump into him, we'll sit and chat. and plenty of other channels, which we'll get onto later on. So for me, I like being part of the community. I don't see it as I do see it as competitive in some ways, in that like a healthy competition, like, you know, we're all kind of supporting each other and pushing each other. I don't see it as, you know, I have to win and they have to fail. That's just not, it's not me, it's not how I work. I do kind of compare myself to other channels in terms of, because I'm new to this, right? I've, you know, never done YouTube before. So I look at other channels and go, okay, is 6,000 subscribers after nearly 2 years the norm? Is it above normal? Is it below normal? Like, I've no idea. So I do look at other channels and just try to get a feel for where I'm at. But no, for me, definitely don't see it as a kind of negative competition, and I'm happy to chat to all the channels, and I do so. So there you go. My question would be, would you be up for a challenge of visiting every Madame Tussauds in the world? Give yourself like 4 or 5 year timeline to do it. I've been to about 19 out of the 24. Jesus. There's a lot of them. I don't think it's necessarily my bag, to be honest. Like, I've obviously done the one in Blackpool a handful of times. When I was in New York, there's one there, and I didn't do it because I was like, it's just another bunch of waxworks, and I've done Blackpool, and it'll be a bunch of celebrities that are American and I don't recognize them. So no, probably not my bag, but definitely would be an interesting challenge because yeah, there's quite a lot of them and you need to travel quite a bit to see them. What 5 UK rides do you miss the most? Mine are Lightwater Valley, the Ultimate at Lightwater, Wild Mouse at Blackpool, Loggers Leap at Thorpe, the Flume at Towers, and the Beast at Fantasy Island. 4 of those I would agree with. The Ultimate I never got on, so I'd like to bring that back. The Wild Mouse I did get on, it was mental, so I'd bring it back for that. Loggers Leap, again, didn't get on that, but I love a log flume, and the Flume at Towers I did get on, and I do miss. So I agree with 4 of those. The 5th one, I don't know, it's probably not one so much I miss. I didn't get on Thunderlooper, so probably say that. I mean, I know you've not asked which ones I'd bring back, but I'd like to bring that back so I could try it. What would you say is the best theme park ever? That for me would be Phantasialand. It is spectacular. It is so immersive. It's crazy because when you look on a map, it's about the size of Blackpool, and it is nothing like Blackpool. Like, I love them both, but for very different reasons, because Phantasialand is a heavily immersive themed area where like all the rides are so well themed and great ride lineup, and then Blackpool's like an amusement park. As I say, love them both for very different reasons, but Phantasialand is definitely my number 1. And I need to get back out there because I visited it before I started the channel. What coaster would you replace the big one with if it was removed? I mean, it would have to be another big coaster, right? And I do really like something like Shambhala over at Portaventura. Probably layout-wise wouldn't fit in Blackpool, but yeah, something like that. So is that B&M Hyper, I think? Let's go with Shambhala. What Blackpool coasters would you like to see replaced? Well, there's an obvious one, and that's Infusion, because it's horrific. So get rid of that straight off the bat. In its current state, I would also say Grand National. I know people will come at me for that. I would like to see Grand National in a good place. I'd like to see new trains in it. I think the layout is fantastic, the racing element is great, but the trains just kill it. It is uncomfortable. So if they can fix the trains, I'd keep it. If they can't, I'd get rid of it. And I know they can't get rid of it because it's listed, but you're asking what I'd get rid of. Those 2. Do you think the new Intamin ride at Blackpool will give a big boost for a while, or just a short kick up in attendance? That's a good question, and I've heard conflicting reports, some saying it's been scrapped, which would explain the loan being paid off so quickly, and others saying it's still happening, it's going where the Bolodrome is. I do hope it comes, because I'd like to see some new investment in a new attraction, and we don't have the larger Intamin, so it'd be a good USP for the park. In terms of what I think it would do though, I think it would give a short-term kick, but you know, I think they've probably got a much bigger strategy on how they're going to turn the park around, because they've kind of acknowledged that nostalgia's got them to where they are, but they need to modernise. And I do think they've got a lot of things they want to do. Whether they can do them and how long it's going to take them to do them, that is a completely different question. But yeah, I think this Intamin Gyro, if it happens, will be a little bit of kind of like a little blip in terms of attendance in a positive way, but I don't think it's going to sustain for much longer. So they do need to do a few more things. What UK theme park, so these 2 are similar, what UK theme park do you think will break the next big coaster record, or do you think Hyperia will hold the top spot for years and years to come? And do you think Hyperia will be beat on height, and which park will do it? No, I don't think it's going to be beat anytime soon. I think, you know, the days of bigger, faster, taller it's not the current thing that the parks are going for. And I don't think, because of things like height restrictions and towers, the only park I could see doing it kind of out of spite would be Blackpool going, you took it from us, we're going to have it back. And I don't know if they're in a position to do it. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but if I did see it happen, it would be Blackpool, just because they're pissed and they want it back. When do you reckon Falcons Flight will open next year, and will you plan to make a journey out there? I mean, there's a whole park, right? It's not just that one ride. They've got to build the whole of Six Flags Kingda, and they're doing that, obviously. They're building it quite rapidly. I don't know how quickly it'll be ready. I don't know, summer maybe? I mean, if it gets beyond summer, then it's probably not going to happen next year at all, right? In terms of me, I have no plans to go out there next year, and it's a long way to go for one coaster, so I think unless there's other things to do there, like nearby other parks or stuff, it's probably not. I've got friends in the Middle East, so maybe if I was out seeing them, I might hop over. But yeah, no, not imminently. I don't have any plans imminently to go and try it out. What is the easiest and best park outside the UK for a weekend trip? Something my wife and I are considering. Well, that probably varies with where you live, right? I kind of think I said earlier, I'm considering a day trip to Paris, because why not? So for me, being up here, I mean, I'm at the mercy of flights. So, you know, something like getting to Paris, there's multiple flights a day. Getting to Amsterdam, tons of flights every day. Getting to London, tons of flights every day. So, you know, for me, if it was a short trip, I'd be looking at that. If you're further down south, sort of right down the bottom, then you've obviously got the Channel Tunnel and you can drive, and there's tons of parks. So I think it'll really depend where you are. Paris is probably an easy one for everybody to get to. So you've got your Disney, you've got your Parc Asterix, which I've never been to. And yeah, depending on where you are, some of those other areas might be easier than others. But yeah, good luck on your trip, wherever you choose to go. Hi, I think your videos are great. I love watching them. Is there any chance when filming you could focus on speed tickets, food prices? Could you maybe pop up the prices also? If you could take your own when planning trips with the family, I always like to know how much to budget. It's a good one, and there are times where I kind of highlight prices. I'm probably inconsistent, and I apologise. I may sometimes flash up a board or say, look, this is ridiculously expensive, because quite often it is. So I will try and remember that. I can't guarantee I'll always get there. In terms of sort of fast track, speedy pass, all that kind of stuff, I tend to do tips videos for parks. I don't usually mention price because the tips are likely to be valid for years to come, but the prices will change clearly. So yeah, I'll try and remember, but I can't. I'm old, I'll forget. Sorry. Do you think Blackpool Pleasure Beach should offer hotel guests an early ride offering like Alton Towers do, from 10 to 11, maybe Blue, Flyer and Icon? 100% definitely think they do. They've obviously made this thing about we are a resort, or we want to be a resort. That's fine, but they need to tie the hotels better into the resort, because I think right now you get park tickets if you stay certain nights of the week, not weekends. But then beyond that, you can use the south entrance for the first, half an hour maybe, and the train goes there at the end of the day. Like, it's not joined up yet, and I think something like that would be fantastic. So yeah, you know, Icon plus one other attraction for an hour before the park opens, go for it. I think that'd be a brilliant idea, and I'd love to see them do that. What's your favourite park in the UK, and do you have a least favourite park? The favourite park would be Thorpe, because I like their ride lineup. In terms of least favourite, I was going to say no, because there's not one that I don't want to go to, but I would probably say Legoland, because I've never had an enjoyable experience at Legoland. Whether it's quiet or whether it is busy, their operations are terrible, like the worst I've seen. So yeah, it's a park I won't be going back to until they've got something new that entices me, because I'm not the target demographic, and the park the operations are horrific. So, and I've had staff tell me that, you know, there's no motivation for them. The park doesn't encourage them to go at any pace. So, Legoland. Left or right lift hill on the Grand National? Left for me all day. I think the last few times I've done it, the left-hand side has come in last. I know it should vary, but I'm pretty sure every time I've seen it lately, it's always been the right-hand side going up the lift hill that's won. So yeah, I never think that through. I usually look and go, which one has the smaller queue? That's the side I'm going on, if I'm even going on it at all. Couple of similar ones here. Any chance of doing a podcast version of your guides? And with your experience guide starting a podcast, is this something you would be interested in, especially over the winter months? Currently I have no plans. I am trying to work out what my content looks like over the winter months because parks are shut. I have been invited on some other podcasts, not confirmed yet, but you might see me on other people's podcasts, just not my own. So never say never, but it's not currently on the horizon. Project Horizon. Dearie me. Right, if you were in charge, what would you put in the Space Invader building? I'd probably put the original ride back in, to be honest, because I never got to experience it. I definitely wouldn't put a pizza kitchen in there. That seems like a complete waste. And I'm kind of curious how much of the building's still empty and how much of it's kind of used up by kitchens and stuff. It's quite a small space, right? So you couldn't get, I don't think you would get a very good dark ride in there. And I don't think like an Intamin multi-dimensional would fit. So probably just bring back the original attraction, which is still at Breen Park, I believe. So yeah. If you were given free rein to design and build a ride, what type would it be, where would it be, and would it have a specific IP? I'd like a spin and mat coaster, because Extreme Spinner, because love those. I would put it in Blackpool because I think that would definitely be something to get people to Pleasure Beach. And because of that, they don't really do IPs, it's not their bag, so it would just be a plain coaster. Hi Chris, if you were challenged to build your own park using only the rides from the UK, past and present, which would you choose to have in it? Nemesis, Hyperia, Swarm, Icon, although Icon and Hyperia are too Mac. Yeah, probably. Dark ride, I'd probably put maybe Curse for the Ghost Train. Yeah, past. I mean, there's a few I mentioned already that I never got on, so I'd maybe bring some of those back just so I could try them. If you had a couple of similar ones here, if you had a choice, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, what ride would you replace the Grand Prix with? And realistically, options for the Grand Prix site, I believe something similar to the Smiler would work, like a Eurofighter or something like that. It would, and I'd love to see something thrilling like that, or an Intamin single rail or something like that. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I've heard some rumblings that the coaster's purchased and it's coming in 2026. If that's true, we're going to see footers next year and all that stuff. They're clearly ripping that site apart quite quickly. So, they're not, which is good because I was worried it was going to be SB&O for years whilst they twiddled their thumbs trying to figure stuff out. So I think that's good. From what I've heard, it's more likely to be a family attraction than a thrill attraction. So I wouldn't get too your hopes up for a Eurofighter or something like that. It's probably not going to happen. I do hope it's not just like a Mac powered coaster though, because if all we get is like a runaway mine train, that's going to be a bit of a disappointment. But I hate to say it, I could kind of see that happening. So yeah, who knows what they're going to do, but fingers crossed we start to see some footers and some markings soon. Want to come chat theme parks for a bit? We'd love to have you. Absolutely, drop me an email, let's sort something out. Happy to have a chat. What other theme park bloggers do you like to watch? Jesus, right. Everybody is the honest truth, from the smallest channels to the biggest channels. I like finding new channels. So a couple I've found lately. There's First Drop, bumped into the guys in Blackpool at Journey to Hell. Lovely guys, and I've loved watching their vlogs. Still very new channel. And similarly, there was a kid bumped into when I came out the attic, Theme Park Ernie. Little kid doing a channel, like massive props to the guy. I could not have done that at his age, I mean, I'm confident in front of a camera now, but I certainly wouldn't have been at like 8, 9, 10 years old. So listen, hats off. So little guys, definitely. Channels sort of similar-ish size. I've made a lot of friends. So when I was a very small channel, Mike and Stacey at Love to Explore took me on their show and introduced me to a whole bunch of other channels through their socials. So massive thanks to them. So got those guys, Coasting with the Joneses, Ginger and Brown, Loops and Lap Bars, Ben and Holly, Theme Park Insanity, Jesus, so many that I'll probably forget all their names. And then there's the big guys as well, you know, like the Digital Dance and the Coaster Crazy and Theme Park Worldwide, Coaster Studios. I try and watch as many as I can. Don't always have a huge amount of time, so I do miss a lot of stuff. But I like to see what everyone's doing, kind of get some ideas, and I think everybody's got a unique thing to bring to the table. So, you know, I like different channels for different things, and I think that's what makes YouTube great. If you if you hosted a bonfire, what Blackpool woodie would you chop up for wood? As it stands right now, the Nash, which I'm sure people will come at me for. But as I said earlier, if they can fix the trains and make it comfortable, I'm sure it'd be an amazing ride. As it stands right now, it's horrific. So they need to do something with it or make it a bonfire. So yeah. Do you think Blackpool Pleasure Beach is going to make a big return with a large coaster? I do think they've got a plan. I genuinely think that they have kind of realised, I mean, they've made comments about, you know, nostalgia's got us to where we are, but we need to now do stuff and modernise. I know that frightened a lot of people and maybe upset a few people as well. Like, the park is never going to step away from that heritage, right? They've got rides they cannot touch. I don't think you're going to see flying machines and Grand National, etc. going anywhere. But they can't rely solely on those, right? That's not what the next generation's looking for. So they do need to put these new attractions in. And I think they know that. I do think they've got a plan of what they want to do. I don't know how much of it they can do and how quickly they can do it. I would love to think there's a big coaster coming. Maybe there is, who knows? Certainly not heard any rumblings, but you know, you never know. You never know. What would you replace Rita with? Absolutely anything. Don't like it. I mean, it's good. I like the launch, and then it's just boring after that. So, I mean, Towers has a lot of one-trick ponies. That's one of them. I think I said before, they're missing some like water rides, so maybe a water coaster or something. But anything, just get rid of it. Don't like it. Do you have many people coming up to you trying to chat when you're roaming the parks? I've seen a few YouTubers, never know whether to say hello or not. I think I scared Sean from Theme Park Worldwide when I ran up to him and said hi. Never seen you in a park, but I'd probably scare you too. Please do come up and say hi. Don't scare me. Please do come up and say hi. People do that regularly. You can't miss me. I've got usually either a t-shirt or a hoodie on, unless it's really cold and I'll have a jacket, that's got Coaster Dad in the front and a big QR code and YouTube written on the back. And it's funny because, you know, it says YouTube on the back and I'm holding a camera. So when people come up, it's that kind of like, do you know who I am? Or are you just saying hi? So many people have actually referenced specific videos. Oh, I liked your Blackpool history series. I like this video. I like that. So absolutely, if you do see me, come and say hi. I find it really bizarre when people are like, can I get a photo? I don't know where these photos go. So there's photos of me somewhere with people. But yeah, listen, if you see me, just come say hi. As I say, I love the whole kind of social and community side of things. So yeah, just don't scare me. What are you most excited about for the theme park industry in 2025, both the UK and worldwide? Worldwide's dead easy. That's got to be Epic Universe. Although I don't think I'll be there next year because I think it'll be crazy. That's clearly going to be a huge big draw for the industry. It looks absolutely spectacular. In terms of the UK, there's not a huge amount that I can think of, although it's probably the dark ride at Paulton's Park, because that's some new Mac thing. Not been to Paulton's in a while, so I'll probably go down and see what that's all about. So that would be the UK one. Do you play any Rollercoaster games? And if you play Coaster 2, you should do some live streams. I don't. So I do everything on a Mac. I've always been a Mac person, and for the last 15 years I've been a software developer writing iPhone apps. So I needed to have a Mac, couldn't do it on PC. So as far as I'm aware, those games aren't on the Mac. It's not really the Mac's strength, and I don't have any consoles. So you ain't gonna see me playing Planet Coaster, unfortunately. Would you prefer a 300-foot Vekoma old school SLC or a 40-foot RMC? Daft question, I know, but learned how Odyssey at Fantasy Island was meant to be much taller than it is. Fascinating to think. I mean, bigger's usually better, so you would typically go with the 300-foot, but you said SLC. There's no such thing as a nice SLC. If you'd said Vekoma STC, I'd be there for it 100%, because Fianna Force over in Emerald Park is amazing. So because you said SLC, I don't care how big it is, I ain't touching it with a 10-foot barge pole. RMC all day long. If you could pick one ride in the UK to re-ride all day, what would it be? Icon. Why do you think theme parks in the UK are so much worse in terms of theming than the rest of Europe? And do you think the UK theme park industry is in a good state at the moment for the future? No, I think it's terrible in the UK. I think, and I don't understand why. I think, you know, my partner hadn't really been into many theme parks beyond like Universal and Disney in America and what's in the UK. And when I took her to places like Efteling and stuff, she was just blown away. It's like, why is the UK so bad? You know, like European parks are amazing and their operations are typically stellar. Maybe not PortAventura, that's pretty shocking as well. But like in general, they just put us to shame and I don't understand why. Like, hopefully if Universal comes here, it's gonna kick the industry, the kind of UK industry up the arse because they need it. But it's like, people travel, right? It's not like people don't leave the UK and don't see these other parks. So I don't understand why they're not more motivated to improve their offering because it's pretty poor. What do you think the most underrated UK coaster in the UK is? Probably Swarm, because I don't hear many people talking about it and I think it's very well themed and I just love a wing coaster. So for me, Swarm. Can you do a video on park entrance for carers and what benefits you get, such as Easy Pass at Pleasure Beach? It's all changed this year. Many parks now make you have to apply for carer tickets when you arrive. I think that's the sort of thing that there's definitely a need for. I'm sure people in that niche definitely want to see that content. It's obviously not something I take advantage of. I don't need the carers tickets. I don't do the Easy Pass and stuff. So I don't think I'd be able to do it justice in terms of I wouldn't know what the pain points are for people who need that service. So I probably can't do it justice and therefore I don't think I should do it, if that makes sense. I'd love to see some content for you guys, but I don't think I'm going to be the guy that does it because I don't think I know the right answers for you. Does your missus and your children share your enthusiasm for amusement parks? So my missus, kind of, she comes to as much with me as she possibly can, but she doesn't always do things. She doesn't do spinning rides, and there are some rides that just push her too far. She did Velocicoaster in America and went, I can appreciate how good it is, but it's not for me. Then she did, I just said no spinning rides, she did Guardians of the Galaxy and said it's her favourite attraction ever. So she does some things with me. She likes to come and keep me company at least. She says she's Coaster Dad's bag holder. I called her a bag lady, that didn't go down well. And then in terms of my kids, so my youngest is 14. She loves theme parks. She came to Thorpe with me when I did the Ben and Holly challenge, and she still comes because she's young and I pay for her. My middle daughter's 17, has a job and doesn't want to spend her money on theme parks. And my eldest is 19, loves a theme park, but also doesn't want to spend her money on that. So this is where I'm considering shouting them a trip to Disneyland Paris as a wee sort of early Christmas present. So yes, some of them do, some of them don't. And it's weird, Coaster Dad, and yet I'm not often with my kids. It was actually my youngest who came up with the channel name because she's like, you like coasters and you're a dad. So lots of imagination went into that name. Can you do a history video for Chessington and Drayton? Yes, I will, definitely. I'm sure I'll get around most of the parks. I've just finished a poll on what's next after Camelot, because it's finished, and you guys picked Flamingo Land, so that's the next one. And I'm always going to let you guys decide what you want to see. So that I'm sure will happen. In fact, I think they are the next two most popular on that particular poll. So I will pick 4 the next time and ask again, and I'm sure they will happen. Do you think Six Flags removing Kingda Ka is a good or a bad decision? Both. I think it was kind of inevitable because the writing seems to be on the wall for all Intamin hydraulic launch coasters. They're expensive, they're difficult to maintain. I don't want to say they're unsafe, but there's definitely some concerns about the amount of pressure in those, and obviously there was the accident on Top Thrill Dragster. So I think it was kind of inevitable it was going to happen. I am pretty pissed at how the park did it. I think, excuse me, it was obvious it was going. Like everyone was talking about, it's going, and yet right up until the last day they denied it and they were like, we know the rumours, but it's not happening, and then they went, ta-da, it's going. Like, what? There's obviously a reason. I'm sure it was some legal thing they were told not to say anything, but they could have made a big song and dance and sent it off properly and, you know, sold loads of merch. And, you know, a lot of people did get there because there was so many rumours floating around. Plenty of people said to me, you're crazy, you're just wanting some airtime on YouTube, it's not going anywhere. I mean, that comment dated very quickly. I mean, I didn't know for sure, but I kind of believed all the rumours that were floating around, right? There was enough of them to justify it was going. So I'm a bit annoyed. I kind of, if it had been something that they planned to keep and then they got to the winter maintenance and the repair costs were just astronomical and it was genuinely a like last minute decision, then fine. But it was clear this was a decision that had been made months and months and months ago, and they denied it right up until the last minute. So I'm pretty annoyed at the park for that. But so yeah, bad and good decision. Like, it was inevitable, but I think the way they did it was terrible. What's the strangest, funniest thing that's happened whilst filming at a park? I'm not sure I can think of anything, to be honest. I mean, I've probably had some stupid looks when I go into CBeebies Land and Nickelodeon Land on my own as a 43-year-old man, because, you know, I do stupid things like that. But I don't think there's anything else. They're not springing to mind.
Right. Next question is from my friend Chris. I think I mentioned I play Pokemon, so he has asked, what is your favourite Pokemon? I don't think I have a favourite, but there is one that's kind of relevant to this audience, and that is that there's a Pokemon called Phalanx, which is kind of like Phalanx, so go with that.
What are your highlights for the 2024 season? I mean, if it's the theme park season, or my season, it's been a hell of a year, right? I started with 900 subscribers in January, the 1st, and I've got nearly 6,000 now. Hopefully beyond that by the end of the year. So it has been a massive year for growth for the channel. Nice bloody sell merch these days. That is a ridiculous thing I would not have thought of at the start of the year. Went to America at the start of the year. That was amazing. I got in the content creator program. Met loads of new friends, both other channels and indeed fans of the channel. So for me, there are so many highlights of this season. In terms of parks, I think getting out to Efteling again was good. I mean, that's where the channel started, in that park. So that was a highlight, getting back there. I'm annoyed that I timed it badly for Dance Macabre. And I'm like, did I go out there just for that? I don't know. So I don't know when I'll get out there. But yeah, very busy season, and hopefully 2025 is even better. If you could bring back one ride at Blackpool Pleasure Beach that is not the Wild Mouse, which one would it be and why? I'd probably bring back the Reel, because that looked as crazy as the Wild Mouse and I never got to experience it. I don't know if it would fly with modern safety standards, but I still like to try it. So that. What is your favourite inversion? That would be easy. That is that Mosasaurus roll on Velocicoaster. That last one that makes you feel like you're going to dunk your head in the water. That is definitely a good inversion. Scariest dark ride in the UK? None of them. There is no such thing as a scary dark ride in the UK. Although I would maybe say the ghost train at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, not so much scary, but I've done it hundreds of times, both on my own and with partner, kids, friends, etc. That final section when you come down the hill, you turn the corner, and then there's the doll that kind of spins her head round. From there, all the way through the underground tunnel thing to the skeletons at the end, always feels creepy to me. And I know it's supposed to be haunted by Cloggy. I don't necessarily believe in that stuff, but that section gives me chills. So, not a scary ride per se, but ghost train at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. There you go, that is a ridiculous number of questions. Thank you so much to everybody who has asked them, and I don't think I've missed any. If I did, sincere apologies, it was not intentional. I tried to answer every question. If you've enjoyed this one, make sure you hit that like button and do subscribe. I've been Chris, you've been watching this guy, and I will see you in the next one. Adios!